Hello, we're back to bishop g5 lines, and this time we're going to see another big line, f4. So, knight bd7, f4, queen c7. Oh, I love this move. Queen c7, it has a lot of benefits. First of all, compared to this line, if we play e6, f4, knight bd7, queen f3, queen c7, castle, b5, we can notice that we don't have e6 in the main line. Because here, white has some nasty tricks like e5, bishop b7, queen h3, and if we take on e5, knight e6. Uh-oh. So knight bd7, f4, queen c7. Another benefit of this move is that we don't make clear where we want to develop, with e6 or with g6. Queen f3, the most natural square for the queen. b5 and castle. Here e5 is not dangerous because bishop b7 just white has to take, because they don't have queen h3 as there is no pawn on e6. And here, don't be quick and don't take on d6 right away. We have a great move, queen b6, because black wants to recapture this d6 pawn, not with the pawn, but with the bishop. So now we can see that d6 pawn is hanging, queen is under attack, the knight is under attack. So white is obliged to play queen e3. e6, bishop f6. f5 is no big deal after e5, knight b3. We exchange the queens, bishop d6, knight comes to a5, and long castle. Well, white cannot really use the advantage of two bishops, so the position is good for black. So bishop f6, knight f6, knight b5. Oh, what a sacrifice, right? Here, I like the move knight d5. First of all, we have to pay attention that AB leads to a complicated game. After bishop b5, knight d7, pay attention not to move the king, because after knight e6, we just lose the queen. So knight d7, f5, e5, queen e5, king d8, white takes the bishop, the knight, sorry, king d7 and castle. Very unclear position. So I don't think that black needs this. Knight d5, queen b3, and now ab. Bishop takes b5, king d8, and black is doing totally great. He has an extra piece, bishop d6 is coming, so there is no danger. Let's get back to natural move, castle, bishop b7. Now we can see the difference, that there is no e5, and the only thing that white can use is knight d5, I mean the d5 square. For example, directly knight d5 is no good after knight d5, e takes d5, rook c8, bishop d3, and knight b6. We can see that the d pawn is very weak. So bishop d3 first, g6. Here we see again the benefit of queen c7. We develop with g6. Of course e6 is possible, but I like this move very much. Knight d5. knight d5, e d5, bishop g7. This bishop is great on this diagonal. Black just needs to castle. So only problem can be the e7 pawn, but don't be scared. There is nothing dangerous. Rook h e1, attacking the e7 pawn. Knight f6. Of course, bishop f6 can be played, but knight f6 is more flexible. In my game, queen e2 was played. Of course, critical is knight c6, right? But after queen e2, castle, bishop d5 is also possible. Queen e7, rook e7, bishop d5. And compared to the main line, which we're gonna see, I thought that this should be better for black. For example, my opponent played rook e2, knight h5. Now we can see the point that bishop on g5 is not so great. The pawn on f4 is under attack. And of course the knight is under attack. Bishop e4, rook e4. Here I had a slight inaccuracy. First, it's very good to play f6, bishop h4, d5, and win the pawn on f4. But somehow I did not want the rook to be on 7th rank, and I did not want to close my bishop on g7 with f6. So I thought, why not d5? If rook goes to e7, which happened in the game, h6, and I win the f4 pawn. But my opponent failed to notice a small detail. There is a good move, rook e1, and after f6, knight e6. F takes g5, knight f8, rook f8, f takes g5. This is a complicated position. After d4, g3, I don't like the black knight here. But my opponent played rook e7, h6, g4. Of course, bishop h4 doesn't have any sense here. Black just takes on f4. So after g4, I took the bishop, and we got this position. Knight e6, rook f7, king f7, knight f4. A big mistake. Bishop h6, pinning the knight. So white is forced to play rook f1, rook f8. A great move which pins the knight after king g8 on the f file. So king d1, king g8, rook g1, rook f4, and I eventually won the game. So we saw that queen e2 is not so dangerous. Let's get back to main line. Knight c6. Now we can see that at some point knight will be pinned, so we should make a use of it. e6, f5, castle, f takes e6. It is important to know that we should take back the pawn on e6 and not on d5. What happens if we take knight d5, right? Knight d5, a great intermediate move, e7, rook e8. And here white has a perfect move which even engines at the first sight fails to see. Can you find it? I'm sure you're not gonna find this. Bishop g6. What is the idea? The idea is that after hg6, knight d8, white attacks b7 and f7. The knight on d5 is also weak. So after bishop b2, king b2, we see that black doesn't have check on c3. If white did not take bishop g6 and directly went knight d8, then black has perpetual check. Bishop b2, king b2, queen c3 with a perpetual check. So it's important to take back the e6 pawn, rook e6, knight d5, queen d5, queen c6, and massive exchanges, rook d6, bishop g2, with an equal position. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.